Hi, in this video, we're going to do question and answer video number 1. So we cover a lot of ground in this video. And I want you to pay close attention to the beginning where we establish the container of the constitutional shield, the removal from the public with founding documents for a faith-based organization, whether that's an association or a ministry. There's not so much in here about standard PMAs and why they are so strong and the benefits and the protections that go along with using the tax code 508C1A. There's a lot of case law in here, and why Congress shall make no law regarding our religious organizations, our spiritual belief system, as that's part of the Constitution. So pay close attention to that container, that foundation that makes a lot of difference in a lot of the answers to the questions. We cover hosting events and donations, public versus private, ecclesiastical law, advisory boards, tribunals, and more in this first question and answer video. Let's jump in. Remember, like, subscribe, and share, and have fun. A little bit of history, a little bit of fun stuff about our buddies at the IRS. And this should actually allay a lot of that nervous feeling that we get when we're walking into something new, as you know, attorneys don't know about this stuff, CPAs don't know about this stuff because they haven't been taught. Section 508 was codified in the Internal Revenue Code in order to formally establish the doctrine of freedom of religion, which had been a tacit standard upon which America was founded and governed since before it gained its independence in 1776. It is generally unknown to tax practitioners simply because law schools and accounting schools do not teach it. And remember, everybody, this is recorded, it will be posted, and so you can come back and watch and listen and learn to these things. And as you know, I'll make videos and post links. Section 508 refers specifically to churches, their integrated auxiliaries, and conventions or associations of churches. The tax code, however, does not define these terms. It also does not define the term religion. The result is very broad-based meaning for qualifying organizations. For instance, 2 FBOs, faith-based organizations, that received church status include the Salvation Army and Young Life. The IRS ruled that Salvation Army was a church or convention or association of churches within the meaning of Section 170B1A1. No explanation was provided for the ruling. In 2015, the IRS approved the first cannabis church of Indiana as an IRS-recognized 501c3 church, even though marijuana is classified as an illegal drug by federal and state law. Interesting. Section 508 entities, since they are not of record with the IRS, are not exposed to public scrutiny. Advantages of 508C1A as secured under 26 U.S. Code 6033A3A. Tax accepted and can give tax deductible receipts for donations. Freedom of speech, including but not limited to politics, referendums, initiatives, and candidates. Mandatory accepted from reporting. Does not file a tax return. This filing exception includes the Form 990 as well as Form 990N. Mandatory accepted from rendering under oath such statements, making such other returns, and comply with such rules and regulations as the Secretary, IRS, may from time to time prescribe. In 1969, Congress enacted a particular rule to mandatory accept, meaning not included to begin with, churches from any new requirements or the new legislation that would be in conflict with the Constitution. Notice how they do not say exempt which means to qualify for, the Free Church has no filing federal or state taxes as churches, their integrated auxiliaries, conventions, or associations of churches. Mandatory exceptions per 508c1a, and there are no filing requirements per IRC 6033A3A, three little i's. As a church is the exclusively religious activities of any religious order. Judge Bratton of the Eastern District of California put it best. Neither this court nor any branch of this government will consider the merits or fallacies of a religion, nor will the court compare the beliefs, dogmas, and practices of a newly organized religion with those of an older, more established religion. Nor will the court praise or condemn a religion, however excellent or fanatical or preposterous it may seem. Were the court to do so, it would impinge upon the guarantee of the First Amendment. Pretty cool. So now one more quote, and then we'll go into more like real people talk. Here's a quote from page 2 from the IRS Tax Guide to Churches and Religious Organizations. Churches and religious organizations may be legally organized in a variety of ways under state law, such as unincorporated associations, nonprofit corporations, corporations sole, and charitable trusts. I don't know about you, but it eases my mind when I hear all of this and read this. Okay, so maybe there is confusion, understandable, if we don't put it in context with the Constitution, and Congress shall make no law with regard to religion and the exercise thereof. No law, nada, nothing, zilch. Congress makes no law regarding our spiritual belief systems. The IRS does not make law, but carries out the laws of its maker, so it has no authority or jurisdiction over religion. So the question is, how does it get to have so much say over the churches? It achieves this by inviting these churches and religions to apply for tax-exempt recognition, because that will be advantageous to them. Then when churches apply to the IRS, they effectively accept the IRS as a partner under its terms and conditions, which is what the IRS is quick to do. They like that. And this is what all of its church-related commentary is about. It's rules for those who have accepted its invitation and who are now under its rule. Everything it states is in the context of those who have agreed to partnership with it by accepting this invitation. What about the rest of us? They've never accepted the partnership, and as such are not part of the deal and remain part of the Congress shall make no law space. So, although our friends at the IRS may posture as having authority and control over all religion, it does not, and it never has. And it doesn't stop them from challenging any religion, but doing so is but when they're doing it, they're bullying, and until proven otherwise, which is what it hopes to achieve. So keep in mind, as we go through tonight and through your journey with your associations and your ministries, that everything written by the IRS is for those who have effectively joined its club, and not for those it has no say over. Yeah? All right. On to our questions. Thank you, everyone, for sending these in. Greatly appreciate it. So we're going to start with how can a ministry or PMA host open air markets with other vendors who may or may not be PMAs? So this is kind of cool. And the ministry is more protective of this, or more, I should say, more open with this. And just think church. So if I go visit my church up the street, I don't have to become a member. If I love the church up the street, then I'm going to do their membership program and become a member. So a ministry has that freedom. So if you can do a temporary membership, you could host a open air market, you could host a festival, you could host a health fair, you could host any number of those things. And the people coming in, it would be open to the public because they don't have to be a member to come in to see what you have to offer. That said, we're highly recommending that you do have some sort of scanning a QR code, or you've got it posted that by attending this, you are agreeing to the bylaws of the ministry or the association. Maybe you have that membership application at a table as they come in and they just sign on a, because we're not subject to HIPAA. So they're just signing all on a sheet there with their signatures. They're agreeing to that membership application. So you don't have to hand out 50 of those sheets. So those are a couple ways for the people are doing this, and you don't have to, they don't have to be a member, but we are recommending that you just go ahead and do that anyway. Maybe you give them a little gift, you can get on the email list or something like that to know about future events. And the other vendors, if it's your event, they need to become a part of the PMA. It could be temporary, but just have them become a member right now for that event. All right, so what is the best way for the PMA or ministry to operate as a vendor with a booth at an open air pop-up farmers market? So this is somebody else is hosting the event and you want to have your own booth. Anybody who comes up to check out your stuff, same sort of thing. They wouldn't have to be a member. It's just like when all of you, we hop on the phone, you're not a member. We're doing a consultation. It's like saying hi, we're having a meet and greet. But if they're interested and they want to proceed further with you, then just like all of us did, then they're going to sign that membership application. So again, it leaves it more open as far as membership goes. Can donations to a PMA be tax deductible for the person or company making the donation? Yes, they sure can. And there's a donation video that talks about the different types of donations that could be made. It could be a straight donation. Give them a receipt if they want it. Give them a receipt. Thanks for the donation. It's got your name, their name, address, and the amount of the donation, and here you go. If it's a donation that is included a service or a product, such as there's a dinner, they pay $50 for the dinner, they donate $400, then they get a receipt. Thanks for the donation for the $400, not the $450. Because that was a product. Does that make sense? Everybody so far? Same with a service. If there's a donation and then there's a service too, thanks for the donation for the amount of the donation, but not also the service. So you can give them a receipt for that too. It's just not a written, that receipt isn't part of the write-off for the person making the donation. So that's a yes. Now on the internal side for the ministry, because as we heard, there's no filing. So you don't file, keep good records. We always keep good records, but you don't have to file into because you're under that. If you're using that 508C1A tax code, there is no filing. Fantastic. What is ecclesiastical law and how does it pertain to the formation of the 508C1A faith-based organization? So ecclesia means gathering or assembly. Ecclesia also had its own government, and ecclesia is the origin is Greek. And really that was the first word for the assembly and church. It was a gathering of believers, and they did have their own government. So that's really what ecclesiastical law is. In contemporary terms, ecclesiastical law is the internal set of laws, rules, regulations, and statutes that a church codifies to administer its own operations. And in your documents, with the ministry documents, it says the ecclesiastical law according to the name of the ministry. right? So it's the internal set of laws and rules. It's the bylaws. And that is the law according to that ministry. Love that question. It's great. In its broadest sense, the sum of the authoritative rules governing the Christian church, and it doesn't have to be the Christian church. It can be the Catholic Church. It can be the spiritual belief system that you have in yours. So it's maybe the power that made the body that heals the body, universal intelligence. So according to that, so according to your firmly held spiritual belief system in your organization, whether in its internal polity or its relations with the secular power. Since there are various, I'm going to substitute spiritual organizations instead of church this time, wildly differing alike in their principles and practice, it follows that a like difference exists in their ecclesiastical law, which is the outcome of their corporate consciousness as modified by their several relations to the secular authority. So it's your own laws. Does every faith-based PMA need both a tribunal and a board of advisors? All right, so again, and I'm telling you guys this a lot, in your documents, it gives you the answers to this sort of stuff. So it says in there, it says may appoint a board of advisors. So let's say you've got your ministry and you're going to do an event. And you don't want to do this event all on your shoulders. So you say, hey, Sarah, hey, Jenny, hey, Mike, will you guys sit on the board of advisors for the event? And you all say yes. So now you've created this board of advisors. It's a temporary thing for the event, or maybe you have it for events, okay? Because this is going to be an ongoing part of your ministry. Maybe it's for outreach, but you have an advisory board for events or outreach or whatever you think you need a separate board than your trustees. You need that for. What about a tribunal? So tribunal operates as your internal court system. All of your people, all of your members have said, yes, they agree that if they have a disagreement, if they have a grievance, that they are saying, yes, we will be held in this, we will go to the courts, the tribunal of your ministry, of your association. It's going to be handled in-house. How do you set it up? Same thing. You're going to choose your tribunal court. You're going to choose your court. You can choose it from members. You can choose it from your family. You could go get an attorney if you wanted to sit on your internal court. They probably need to become a member. Good idea. You'd want to get a constitutional attorney, but you get to do this all internally, and your members have agreed to this style and this structure. And how the tribunal functions, it's your association. You do want to be fair. I know all of you are, but that again is a little bit different than this public court that we're used to seeing. And there's a lot of stuff out there. I kind of went and dug around on exactly how to do it. I didn't find any hard, fast answers. But you get to appoint a judge, you get to appoint a jury, and they hear the case. So we want to be fair, and some neutral parties obviously in there. But yeah, again, it's an internal process. Does every PMA need to charge a membership fee? No, you don't. And you can change your membership fee. You can waive the membership fee. I kind of do that a lot. If somebody's a referral over to me, then I say, oh, because you've been referred by so-and-so, I'm going to waive the membership fee. You can do levels of membership fee. So if you want to have your basic level get you such and such, and it's this much for the year, or it's this much per month, however you want to structure that is up to you. And then we say we have the medium level. Okay, now it gets you more things for your membership. And then you have the premium level, so you can do something like that as well. So it's up to you. how much you want to charge for your membership fee, if you want to have it to be free, if you want to have levels, and if you want to have it a lifetime, or if you want to renew it every year or have a monthly. It's a contract. Again, it's that contractual law and agreement. Does setting up my business at my residence create a stronger boundary between the public and the private domain? I'm so excited that somebody asked this question, because I've been pondering how to bring this up on one of the videos on the channel, because again, you know, our favorite constitutional attorney, Kris Anne Hall, she just did an amazing episode on the difference between the public and the private spaces. And so I don't want to just like try to tear apart her stuff all the time. And so I'm like, how am I going to do this video? So private property, that's why we are fortunate and we can have no trespassing signs, whether or not you have a private ministry or association. You should have a no trespassing sign. Freedom of speech, the minute that somebody steps on your private property, all of those First Amendment rights, you as the property owner supersede anybody that steps onto your property, and you can ask them to leave. Done deal. Supersedes. Even if it's your mom, your dad, your best friend, you can say, well, you know what? My opinion matters more than yours because it's my private property, which is actually kind of fun, right? But on the other hand, it did make me have a little bit of chagrin at all of us who walked into stores and did not listen to their laws of their private property. So as far as the store owners and the businesses and all of these places that we said, no, we will not comply, they were right in enforcing what they thought is their rules. Now, who was wrong? The government. Because the government never, ever, 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 ever should have told those people what they had to do on their private property. Yeah. So just as we go forward, if you don't want to visit that store because they have certain rules, then that's fine. But we don't get to go tell them what to do on their private property. Public. Okay. And Kris Anne goes into this. It's pretty cool. So because government money doesn't fund my private property, that's one of the reasons for those things that we just talked about. Same with the stores. But government money, tax money, guess what it pays for? It pays for the courthouse. It pays for the sidewalks. It pays for all of those things. So we don't get to have superseding free speech. We can still have free speech in those areas, but we can't stand out there with a bullhorn. I mean, we can, and we've tried, but if somebody complains, then we have to stop because that's a public space and it's paid for by taxpayer dollars. And we have to follow their rules in those public spaces. Good? Okay. So I'm so glad somebody asked that. So yes, it does kind of create a stronger boundary because it is your private property. So let's talk for a minute, though. If you've leased a space, your landlord's aware what you're doing there, that you have a private association or your private ministry, they're all good with it. You've got the no trespassing sign. According to your contract, your lease agreement, they're saying that it's now your private property. You're pretty good with that one. But if you didn't tell your landlord what you were doing, and now the landlord says, hey, what's going on in there? I've had some complaints for whatever reason. It's his private property and his free speech, his religious liberty, his First Amendment rights are going to supersede yours. Okay, so it's kind of a little sticky one there. So just make sure if you're thinking of leasing or buying or something that you're looking at contracts and you're being wise about what they say. In what ways might it affect bylaws and or member contact? It wouldn't. it's private property. It makes it stronger. And you're just going to, your bylaws are okay as they are, because it says that, as well as the members have signed this contract agreement to come onto your property. You've agreed that as well. And it shouldn't affect anything. Does locating the business at my residence automatically fulfill the private domain requirement? You know, it does in a way, because then we go all the way back to the history of the private domain. And that's you and I sitting down at the dinner table. And I say, hey, my gosh, I really wish I could find somebody to fix that door. And Paul jumps up and says, I'll fix the door for you. We just made it a contract. We just had an agreement. Family sitting around the table, you're making contracts and you're making private agreements. It doesn't go outside the door. We've been doing that since the dawn of time. I am going to open it up to any questions here, and then on the next video, we'll finish up what we've got going on. Did anybody message Sarah with any questions? No? Okay. All right. So we'll just... I'll let you unmute and ask a question, and I'm just going to kind of watch the time. Oh, I answered all your questions.
I have a question if
Hi, Paul.
Christine wasn't ready. Hi. We were told that the IRS is ramping up and they're gaining all these agents and all this stuff. And even with all the articles, certificate of incorporation, founding documents, et cetera, how would we effectively protect our assets from confiscation? Whereas if we were in the system, we could list them somehow. And then if you're out of the system, what would you have to do? Just list them and keep that for yourself?
Well, first,
if you were challenged.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're challenged, whether that's you need to say, get off my property, whether it's now a letter that says this is out of your jurisdiction because I have a business or I have a ministry that's under 508 code C1A and you have no business here. Does that mean you might not go, you might, or you won't go to court? I cannot promise that, obviously. And you have all read my disclaimer. I mean, obviously I'm not an IRS consultant. I know one, but that would be your first steps with that you have no business here. And this first document I was reading from has probably 100 examples of case law in there. So, and again, IRS is not supposed to be making any law that affects a religious organization or a faith-based organization. Neither is our Congress. Neither is the Supreme Court, really. So, does that help?
Yeah, absolutely helps. You know, what would help even more is if we knew where to find this stuff. Yeah. Just you know, it's just one of those things where when you know where something is, there's no question, you know, because we don't have to remember anything because it's already written down, right. You know, that type of thing. So, what resource will we be able to access for something like that? Or
so
we have
a lot of the stuff that I access, we've got some really good researchers on the team, and they put together stuff and we share stuff back and forth. So I really personally do my very best to link those resources. And then what they do, I'm pretty sure, is they go in these legal websites and look for case law regarding the private domain. And I can give you some case names and have you research them, but that's what they're doing. They're just sitting down and being complete legal nerds and looking for case law. Yeah. And I do, like I said, I do my best to keep everybody abreast of this stuff. Thank you. Christine.
Yeah, actually, my question relates again to the banking because I got my EIN number.
Okay, good.
And went to the bank and set up an appointment. It's tomorrow, and I have listened to your EIN videos that I could find, but I'm kind of worried that I bank with a credit union,
Mhm.
and they seem to know, or somebody has made an appointment with me that I hope knows about the 508c1a. But I've also read something or watched some YouTube videos where you talked about the 1023 letter that the IRS is going to send me now. And they're not.
No, it's in that's the little form that they try to tell you need to fill out. It's in your letter that you have from with the EIN.
Well, the only thing I have now is something I downloaded after I got my EIN number because I did it online.
Okay.
And I have that. So I thought you said they were going to send the 10,
No, that's not what I said.
Okay. Well, I misunderstood that then. So
in that very confusing letter, they try to convince you in order to remain tax exempt, you need to file form 1023 or N990, and you do not.
I do not.
Yeah.
So if my bank is not able to help me, if they say, well, we can't do it unless you have this 1023 letter.
They're not going to say that. Okay. No. So you want to speak their language. Okay. Don't try to talk to them about private ministry. They're not going to know what you're saying, but you are going to say, I'd like to set up a bank account. I've got my EIN number for my unincorporated ministry or my unincorporated association with tax code 508c1a, because they know what that is about.
Unincorporated.
You just keep repeating that. And if they really don't want your business, then you say, okay, because I've had people that happen to, and they've even gone as far to say, oh, you must register with the state, which was not true because somebody in the state had just gotten an account. And so not true. They don't know a lot of times. Again, same as the attorneys, same as the CPAs. So you just be very kind and say, I get it. It's uncommon. And I just need a banking account for my unincorporated. And you can even say nonprofit, not for profit, not necessarily that that's what you're doing, but we're again speaking, they know about that.
Okay.
You just hold your ground, Christine.
Okay.
Okay.
I will do that.
Yeah. And again, if you don't want your business, you just go find one that does.
Okay. Very good.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Great. Great question. Good. Okay, so we are about to be done with this section and we'll be back. See you in the next video.